bosses, and welcome to PR Decoded. Today we are going to talk about podcasts. I'm absolutely obsessed by podcasts, and I know unequivocally that podcasts have helped me elevate my career. They've helped me to stay relevant, learn new skills, they've helped me to upskill myself, and they've helped to enlighten me on issues and things that I perhaps didn't know about before. I was going to talk about TikTok this week, but I've decided to put that on the back burner until next week because I'm still playing with it and I want to make sure that I'm a bit more informed on the platform before I come back to you on that one. But it's definitely coming, and I am slightly obsessed with TikTok, I have to say. But back to podcasts, I'm going to take you through my top 5 because there are so many out there and there seems to be a new one launching every week that I don't want you wading through all of the countless ones that are out there. I want you to get straight into the good ones. The reason I like podcasts so much, and the reason that I think they're such a rich resource of information, is one, they're completely free. They only cost you the charge of your iPhone or whatever you happen to be listening to the podcast on. And two, they allow you to passively learn. And by passively learning, I mean you don't have to be glued to a screen, you don't have to be in a certain room or a particular place at a certain time. You can be doing the washing up, you can be stuck in a traffic jam, on a commute. All of those kind of like slightly banal elements of our lives are times when we can really plug into podcasts. So I really, really recommend them. I'm going to talk you through my top 5 because people ask me all the times which ones I am obsessed by, and I am going to share that with you right now. Let's dive in. Undoubtedly, my absolute number one go-to when it comes to podcasts is Amy Porterfield. Amy has a podcast called Online Marketing Made Easy. Her job is to, she basically upskills people so that they can create their own online digital courses. And her podcast sits alongside her business offering as kind of like a supporting pillar, and to sort of draw people in so that they can really understand what her vibe is and how that she can help you in a more longer term way. Her podcast, I've been listening to them, I would say, for about 3 years now. She's been going for a while, and she did start as someone that really focused on Facebook and Facebook advertising and how you can maximise your business on Facebook. But how times have changed and evolved, she's also evolved what she speaks about and what her business model is. Now, she will have guests on the show who are specialists in particular areas like storytelling, YouTube, SEO, Facebook ads and marketing and so on. She's always got lots of guests. But what I absolutely love about Amy's podcasts are she takes a real sort of step-by-step approach. So she breaks everything down for the listener and she creates lots of actionable takeouts. So, sometimes you're listening to a talk or you're listening to a podcast or whatever it may be, and you feel incredibly pumped and motivated. But by the end of it, you've got nothing, you don't know what to do, you don't know where to start because they haven't taken you that far. They've motivated you, but they haven't given you the tools or the know-how to actually action it and put it into practice in real life. The good news is, let me just turn off my TikTok. Someone just like one of my TikTok videos. I'll talk about that next week. And so I absolutely recommend Amy as a number one resource. Just to cut through, because as I say, there are hundreds of episodes, I would start with episode 280, which is 10 ways to repurpose one single piece of content. It's so invaluable. There's also another episode 246, which is choosing your one thing. Now, Amy talks a lot about how Americans use the word niche. We would say niche. So niching down, finding your space, right? Trying not to sell or be all things to all people, but finding your niche, finding what you're good at and really, really going in deep there. And that's that she helps people to build their business within their own niche. So absolutely, if you do nothing else, you pay no attention to any of the podcasts that I mentioned, you absolutely must pay attention to Amy Porterfield, and you'll hear loads of parallels between the way that I talk and the way that she talks, because I have learned so much from her, and I'm currently doing one of her paid for courses at the moment called, I think it used to be called B School and now it's called, gone out of my head, but anyway, check her out, amyporterfield.com. I'll include all the links in the show notes below. Another podcast that I've been addicted to for a long time is How I Built This by a chap called Guy Raz. Again, it's an American podcast and it's been going for quite a few years. It is incredible. Guy, I guess the clue's in the title. Guy interviews business people. They could be from music, they could be from, I don't know, restaurants, from food, from beauty, from all different walks of life. And he breaks down how they built their brand, how where they got to where they are today. And of course, he talks about challenges, he talks about failures as well as successes, and really, really makes you feel that, because sometimes you only really see the end product of someone, where actually understanding their struggles and what they had to do to get there is incredibly motivating and inspiring, and makes you kind of realise that an overnight success has taken years to get there sometimes. The ones that I absolutely love, particularly, are Emily Weiss at Glossier, a client of mine, so of course I'm going to love that. But she speaks very intelligently and earnestly for an hour about being one of the only, I think it's only one of 5% female CEOs in the world of unicorn companies and big sort of corporate brands, corporate companies. She's definitely one to check out. She's only 34 and she has built an absolute empire in 5 years. She's incredible. I also, and his name escapes me, but I'll put it in the show notes below. The first one that I listened to was on this music guy who discovered, I think his name Troy Carter, and he discovered Lady Gaga. And the storytelling in that episode is why I got hooked. This story of this chap who discovered this musician who had just been let go by her record label and was absolutely, devastated and on her knees, and how he built her career from that point. It was absolutely exceptional. So please do listen to that. This is entertaining, but it's also motivating and inspiring, and definitely worth a listen. Now, my third recommendation is not for everyone. If you're not a fan of straight talking and swearing, this is probably not the podcast for you. I'm probably not the person for you either, because I have been known to swear occasionally. But the Gary V podcast is it's called the Gary V Audio Experience, and it's by a chap called Gary V. He's a Russian American immigrant who grew up in a very sort of impoverished American neighborhood after his parents left Russia, and how his dad owned a wine shop, and Gary helped his dad transform this basically off license that was in a corner shop somewhere in America, mid-America, and turn it into a multi-million-dollar company. Now, he, as I said, he's very passionate, he's very straight talking, he doesn't sugarcoat anything, but I love that. He's incredibly passionate, and he shares those passions in a very authentic way, and he sort of motivates people into action and really gives you some tough love sometimes. And he talks a lot about humility and how being humble has really helped him to grow his business. He talks a lot about entitlement and how none of us should feel entitled and we've all got to go out there and earn it. And also he just gives lots of amazing advice about, how to pivot your business, or what social channels you should be looking into, or where to put your attention. And he's the one that's totally got me into TikTok. So when I talk about TikTok next week, if you've listened to any Gary's shows, you'll be like, I get it, right, that's where she's got that from. Totally. I'm not going to pretend I found it myself. I'm totally motivated by Gary Vee. So he does a lot of keynote speaks and a lot of motivational talks. There's one that he's done recently that really struck a chord with me, which is It's Okay to Feel Lost. And again, that was a bit of a motivational Monday talk, and that was really for people who have hit a wall or a plateau and just don't really know where to go next. And there's an amazing episode called The Evolution of Storytelling, which that takes the deep dive into TikTok. Please listen to it. It's absolutely incredible, and it's with the people who are leading TikTok now as a business, and is definitely worth a listen. He does, as I say, he is partial to a swear word or two and a bit of brutal, hard chat. So be prepared, but it's definitely worth a listen. So my fourth recommendation is a bit of a cheat because it's not a podcast. And actually, this guy is the reason that I got into listening to podcasts and TED Talks in the first place. I'm also obsessed with TED Talks. And his name is Simon Sinek. You may have heard of him. He came up with a concept. It's a bit like a marketing concept of how you can connect and build your brand in the here and now in a way that connects with people's hearts and their heads. Now, when I discovered this TED Talk, I thought I was on, I thought I discovered something that no one else had seen, and then I realised that 1 million people had watched it, and now I think about 40 million people have watched it or something ridiculous like that. But it fundamentally changed the way that I approached marketing and the way that I approached branding and communications. So he talks about this 3-part framework called which focuses predominantly on telling your story, your brand story, with the why first. Why rather than what you do and how you do it, leading your communications and your message. So why would answer questions like why you exist, why anyone should care, why you get out of bed in the morning. It's the really heart and soul of your business, and it, as I say, it fundamentally changed everything for me and really put me in a different direction when it came to how I approached my job. And it's really helped me create campaigns that stand out and get noticed, and I know that you can benefit from it if you haven't seen it already. I'll put the link in the show notes. Do not miss this one. Okay, no podcast recommendation would be complete without me recommending the Emma Gunn show, of which I have been a guest twice. Lucky me. Emma Gunn is a friend of mine. She is a beauty and health journalist and has been for the last 20 years, probably the same as me. And her weekly podcast includes incredible and very directional and motivating people from the health and well space. Now, Emma interviews people like, I think, Kate Somerville, the founder of the incredible skincare brand. Kate Somerville has just gone up today. She posts everything on Sunday, which I absolutely love because that's the time I can listen when I'm sitting at a kids' party like I was 2 hours ago while they were trampolining. I was listening to the Kate Somerville episode. She also deep dives into mental health and nutrition and, really she's got an incredible interview style, Emma. She really she asks the right questions, but in a very she genuinely, that she's genuinely interested in the answer and making sure that her listener gets as much out of her show. My personal favourites are when she has people like Nadine Bagger on, because it just descends into this incredible source of beauty gossip and product recommendations that are incredibly valuable. Her interview with Sam and Nick Chapman, the Pixie Woos, is also incredible. There's just a lot of rich beauty content and health and lifestyle content on there as well. So do check that out, because Emma brings a very powerful voice to beauty and a very authentic voice, and I think you will enjoy listening to her podcast very much.